Hello and welcome to Agents of Clix, a bi-weekly podcast about all things Heroclix. Today, Sean is not here due to a Hydra cyber attack, so it's just me, Dale, and Chris. Hello.
Hello.
So we'll ask as usual, Chris, have you been playing anything interesting? Because I sure as hell haven't.
I did. I'll spoil the fun though, because it's like I'd actually decided that the teams we were building, I should really play some of them. So I did play the team that we shooting focus team. So I should leave that till later on. But I did play that.
Okay, so
I think I did another organised play. Can't remember which one it was. Young Avengers or something. Before that, and that's about it. A couple of games.
Okay, well, I haven't played anything, but we will have more to talk about next time because we are getting together and having some post-rotation team building, theorising, and we're going to try to test all of the things and come back with you with our findings. But from there, straight onto the news. It's been a while since we did a news bit because we were late last week because of the Nationals, and then just basically skipped last time
just
for
spent
Nationals.
the whole episode talking about Hydra.
Oh, me. But yeah, the big news is we got 3 sets coming up real quickly. We've got Wonder Woman, the micro set. We've got What If, a small but full size set. Elseworlds. Majority is out for Wonder Woman. Almost all of What If is out. Nothing but 2 figures of Elseworlds out. Wonder Woman, I think me and Chris agree on that it's a cute set. There's 2 traits that seem to go through. You're either an Amazon or a Titan. All the Amazons have super senses, which have a token theme, where if you have a Amazon token, which you get through various means depending on which person's getting it, they all give somebody else a power for using it. I think it's a cute little team. I don't think you're going to see it competitive, but it'd be nice to play Amazons with an army of Amazons.
Those Amazons, the generic Amazons, are probably one of the better figures in the set. You can get like a 15-point charge Amazon. You can play them at 2 different values, can't you? 30 or 15. They're pretty nice. And then you just try and fill them out with Wonder Woman and stuff. I don't know if there's an awful lot of Amazons apart from in that set. Let's have a quick look.
There's a few.
Other Wonder Woman, there's Supergirl. Some other previous Amazons. Artemis is quite a good figure, I think, from the Sun Wonder Woman. Oh, you can play with the Red Sun Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
That would be not bad with the Amazons.
But yeah, the generic Amazons, I mean, I think they're the standout. The either point value do basically the same thing. It's just whether you want to pay 30 points to give them, 4 clicks or just 30 for the 2. I'd probably, if I had enough of them, would probably just play the 15 points ones. The 30 doesn't add anything other than 2 extra clicks, and they're pretty much identical to the littler ones, and basically if you're going to get hit, you're probably going to die, so what's the point in not just having it a one shot, be done with it, rather than be left with something that's meh. But yeah, they're nice. I mean, there's a super senses traded. Once they've done an attack, they get an Amazon token, and from there they basically give themselves, they can spend a token to give themselves flurry, which
it's not just themselves.
It's any Amazons with a token. But
so you could, I'm sure if you go through and look at, what did I say, Artemis? Because she's like a really good close combat piece.
Red Sun.
Even her, they need to have a token on, don't they?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it says now. Oh well, never mind. It's because she can't get tokens. There's only people from the set that interact with the tokens.
I think
that's a shame.
I think there's an exception to that. I'm just having a quick check. Donna Troy, the Chase, specifically has a trait that lets her take it from one friendly Amazon to give it to another friendly character. Has no restrictions on who the friendly character who's getting the token is, so she can give it to somebody else.
That'll be fun, yeah. I think I'd like to play Amazon team. Donna Troy is not bad for the 45 points, I suppose.
Even without the traits, Donna Troy would be, I think, pretty good. Even with just the traded super senses, and that would be it. I think she's alright, but the she has both the Amazon sister trait HUD and the other trait that runs through the set is the Titans trait, which is Titans together, and when you get healed with the team ability, +1 to the attack value. Basically all of the Titans in the set have it, and there is 4 characters, or 5 characters, but 3 models and that. There's 1 Starfire, 2 identical sculpted Flashes, 2 Ravens, and a Donna Troy, and potentially 1 more, because there's still number 14 that hasn't been spoiled.
And amazingly, they made a Starfire that isn't very good.
They've finally made a Starfire that isn't very good. It's been quite a while, but the only real standout figure for me, I really like both the Flashes as just daft sets. I'm a massive Flash fan anyway, but the common one, the power, he has hypersonic speed. When he uses it, for every 5 different squares he's moved before he attacks, he deals 1 extra damage, which means that he can run his full 11 squares, stop and punch somebody, and gets to do 4 damage on his first click. I think that's really good. I think it's very Flash type. It's interesting. But
he's got like that 19 defense, but like if he gets hit once, he goes down in a hurry. So if you can keep him 19 defense, nothing to sniff at nowadays.
He does have steel energy as well, like as part of his hypersonic thing. So it's not terrible. But he's 60 points and doesn't really do much other than harass people, I think.
You don't want to get him off that top click, really.
Oh. The other Flash is 85 points and doesn't do all that much more. He's got a traded cheating version of hypersonic. He can just do a move action, he can do a close combat attack during the move. I don't think that's going to do.
I don't know why they just didn't. Why didn't they just give him traded hypersonic speed? Really, it's like a bit weird.
I don't know. The only thing I can think of it is that it's just going to be a pain in the ass when the new rules change. They have to FAQ him because his work is exactly as hypersonic speed works now. And
you don't need to FAQ him because he hasn't got hypersonic speed. I suppose unless you could give him a move action through some other effect is the only reason that like. Or
I think I found the reason.
It's not a power action; it's a move action or something weird.
The only reason I can think of is that he's got the Justice League team ability, so he can actually do that hypersonic not counting towards actions. But even then, it's not all that worth it. 85 points, 2 low attack damage for the same thing. Just play the Jay Garrick Flash from Chuck's World.
85 points is quite a lot for like only those 5 clicks.
Especially when this is the 85.1 from the OP kit, who is just better. He's faster. He's got more attack.
He's a good figure,
he's just a better version. But I think the standout piece is the rare Raven. She has now been FAQ'd. They've finally explained what her power does. She's got the Titans Together trait, which no one cares about, and teleportation. Give her a power action and choose an adjacent friendly character with the mystical keyword, or up to 2 friendly characters with the Teen Titans keyword. Place Raven in a square within 6 squares and line of fire, and place a chosen character adjacent to her. So it's not carried. She doesn't fly, so she can be carried, but she does bring them along for the ride. It doesn't stop them from then doing an action. I'm going to try and use it with the KC Spectre to get some mobility into him. You're a little bit limited because you've got to be able to see where you're going, and the 6 squares isn't huge, but I mean, if I'm doing it as a running shot, it's fine. And she has prop control on that click anyway, so for 40 points, she's a really good mystical taxi / support piece. I'm definitely going to get one.
Yeah, because it's like sort of a little shortened TK, but she's bringing herself along with you, which is often you don't really want to leave your support piece behind if you're TKing up, so she sort of solves that really. But it's limited keywords, so you've got to look at finding somebody with a mystical, which is not that hard really, I suppose, because there's plenty of good mystical figures around.
Yeah, the best I'll see.
Team or Spectre or anything like that.
Or the upcoming Goblin King.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it from Wonder Woman as an overall look, unless you got anything else, Chris.
Not really. Some of these are like just target exclusives, are they? Well, I think, because that's why they haven't got all the dials up quite yet.
As far as I know, it's 4. So Raven, Stephen, Trevor, Etta, and Raven are the normal people you'll get to see, and Donna Troy's the chase out of that. It's the other Wonder Woman that you won't see, and the Steve Trevor, who is garbage anyway. That is the exclusive, as far as I can tell from so far. But even then, that doesn't really. It's normally 4 that you miss out on, but from what I can see, it's only 2.
Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't it normally? It's normally 12, and then an extra piece out of.
It's about 4. I think there's normally 4 that are exclusive to Target.
Yeah. So there's
No, we never see.
There's 8.
So you just
There's 8 commons in this.
Go on, I'm letting you speak, but then we can speak on top of each other. Go on.
There's 8 commons in this set, and normally in those types of sets there is 6 rares. Sorry, 6 commons, and then 4 rares each for exclusive and not exclusive, with a chase in that as well. But I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway,
moving on.
Moving on.
If as a quick glance, it's not all out yet, but the vast majority is. So far, the newest figure, if you watch this thing after more stuff came out, we are up to having just had released today, as far as I've seen. I'll remember his name. I won't. I'll find it. We've just been speaking about him. Peace Machine. Oh, Peace Machine. Yeah, but yeah, so far for me, as a glance at a distance, I think it's one of my favourite sets so far. Just looking at dials, I think it's my favourite set so far for quite a while. Every piece has a use, even they're not. There's no 20-point pieces just to fill out boosters. So I think it's going to be interesting to see in sealed, because almost everything's between 30, 40, but still having use, up to 100, with very few kind of breaking that 110-point bracket.
And the problem will be is how many people play, because Goblin King's only a super rare. I think it's going to be tricky to take him down in with if anybody pulls him. Yeah,
I think that's pretty much always the case. Sort of, it's the way to get the people to buy the boosters. You keep buying it if you are nutter for it till you get Goblin King.
Yeah, I'm just saying for sealed, if somebody pulls that, then pretty much game over.
Yeah, pretty much. But
unless you pull Peace Machine, and then you can only do 3 damage.
And then you can just laugh him off.
Oh, take 3 damage. Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, the chases we've had 2 of 4 so far, and it seems to be what if the what if Venom possessed somebody else. So we've got Venom Hulk and Venom Punish so far. I quite like the Venom Hulk. Venom Punisher, not so much. Have you seen them, Chris?
Well, yeah, I don't really like Venom Hulk, to be honest with you. He's like 100. I mean, I would never play him at 190. It's just, I'll give him Leap Climb with a 10 attack, and I'll just waste those 90 points that I've spent until he knocks down to my 100-point dial.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the 100-point dial is the only thing I'd use.
And you need to play him with TK then to try and get him into.
That's what I'm thinking.
Somebody.
But I think for 100 points, I mean, once he is adjacent to somebody,
yes,
plasticity, shape change, 18 defense with invincible is gonna make it hard to crack him, stop him from just crushing you. It's a lot of points, but
it's hard. Yeah, he's going to be hard to actually pick up a heavy object as well, because he's only, he's going to spend his action just moving.
I don't think he's ever going to.
It seems to be a bit. Yeah, it seems a bit wasted then for having that super strength on the
little bit
on the flurry dial. He's only got an 18 defense. So I suppose he does have shape change to try and keep him alive.
The sculpt though,
because that's in his trade.
Have you seen that?
I think I've seen the Venom. Yeah, have I seen both of them? I think I might have just seen the Venom Hulk sculpt.
I haven't seen the Venom Punisher, but the Venom Hulk sculpt I've seen. I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, having glanced at that at the artwork for it before, when I'd seen the Venom Punisher, I thought it's going to be Venoms everywhere. So I wonder what it's going to be like. I had a quick look, and the sculpt just really looks like a Venom sculpt. It doesn't have any resemblance of Hulk other than the leap, and even that's not, it's hardly unique to Hulk that he jumps.
Well, I'm not a big Venom fan, I must say, so unless any of them do something really exciting, they will be all passes for me, but we should wait and see.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I'm sure some people get obsessed about Venom.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what Venom possessed XYZ character.
Probably everybody.
Would tickle my fancy. I'm struggling to think for ones. I mean, I'd quite like to do a Wolverine, but as far as I'm aware, that was only ever in a video game. I don't expect them to do that. Black Cat, maybe. What? But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be interesting. It's probably gonna be Daredevil. We've had enough of them.
Well, at least one person might actually get either charge or running shot, and that they would be better.
Yeah. Imagine a move and attack power. It's useful. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole set's cool. There's a trait of alternate Earth, so you get to swap out like amalgamation characters for one of their. So if I've got Iron Man, it's like actually I don't want Iron Man, so I'll have Dr. Stark instead, or Captain Britain Iron Man, or during the game, and a few of them open up quite a lot of tactics. Quite like that.
Yeah, and it means that they're not shifting focus so much. They've just
it's a one-way street.
They just rely on having somebody with the same name, so it gives you a bit more use out of older figures as well.
Yeah, and I think I've just kind of mentioned it that I've kind of really liked the only not what if characters that seem to be getting a make appearance, like core Avengers, with the founding member trait, which gives them, when they do a non-free movement action, it doesn't give them a token, so you can get yourself your Thor or your Iron Man or your Captain America, run them forward, and then turn after change into one of your other forms. And some of them are pretty good. I mean, almost all of the shifters have something stand out about them that makes them worth shifting into. My issue is the points values not adding up, but that will inevitably be rectified.
We hope that they try and sort of correct it. We haven't seen all the figures in the set. Yeah, because there's some figures that rely on, say, a Punisher or Doctor Strange at around the same points, but there isn't anybody. So you think, well, that's a bit wasted trait because you're never going to use it.
Yeah.
I do like the Runaways as well.
Yeah, it's
in the set.
nice.
I think they're quite nice. My favourite one so far is Gertrude and Old Lace. I think I definitely like that. Getting a really unkillable pug.
I'll raise you and think that is good, but I think Iron Lad with them is better because yes, it's 100 points and all that. That's not amazing. 100 points is, but he does have a trait that gives him Mastermind, but he increases the damage dealt by 1 when he transfers it. Yeah. But who cares when they're only taking 1 damage?
Yeah.
And that's gonna be funny.
Look at Mastermind on the pug, yes. I don't know if I'd really want to play him at 100 points, so
maybe not. It's funny though.
But yes, if you played like a Runaway teams or a Young Avengers team, I think it does, because there's quite a few Young Avengers in the Civil War organised playset.
Yeah.
So, and they just had their organised the small OP thing with like Miss America and things like that.
I think it didn't only one of them.
Keywords.
Did only one of them actually have the Young Avengers keyword?
Definitely Miss America had. I don't know. Did none of the others?
I thought Miss America didn't have it. I know that Falcon doesn't. I'm having a quick check. She might do. Or she just have Young Avengers, but she has Ultimates for some reason.
Yeah.
I have not read the new. I know of the new Ultimates. They're now in the mainstream universe as like some space Avengers, but I have not kept track.
And there's that Con Loki as well. He has a Young Avengers keyword.
Well,
so I don't think he's rotated as yet because he's 2015, which is the same as Faust. So he's still around.
That would be cool. Maybe.
Yeah, play him like Young Avengers and run with it because he's like a nice big piece. It's really hard to kill.
See, he was
get, like draw lines of fire drawn to him until like Jakeem came around and said, "Oh, I'm a mystical."
Pretty much. But I mean,
yeah.
still.
So there's a lot of mystical figures come around. But yes, he's still got shape change and super senses. And if you slap a Eclipso on him or Brainiac, then he's got impervious. He's still got a lot to go through.
He's definitely all right. I mean, I can't complain. Yeah. So what if looks promising? I mean, I'm definitely going to pick a few of it up. I like the smaller size. I'm glad that they did that because with Elseworld coming like a month later, I don't think I could have coped with a full 68 whatever it is figure set.
Well, I think they're doing these because normally at this time of year you would get the organised play storyline set, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So this is instead of that. So like last year, but they're doing like 2 sets, and then they're doing like the colossal organised play things, which is the first one. I don't know when that's kicking off, but the first one's Dormammu, I think, isn't it?
Yes, I think. And then the second one is the Jet. Is that the Jet?
I don't know. I only know about Dormammu, so I have no idea what the other ones are after that.
But that's the month after, so we've got June is supposed to be the What If release, July is the Elseworld release, and then August is the Dormammu. September's supposed to be the DC version. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be the Jet, but don't hold me to it because I can't quite remember. Yeah,
and there'll be more Colossals in Thor as well. They seem to have. I mean, I do really like. Off on a tangent now, the designs of the Colossals. So I'm looking forward to having some more.
I would like them to do more with usable, less than 100 point dials. I think all the ones that have came out with so far, they've had smaller dials, but they've basically paled in comparison to how good the Colossal Retaliation versions are. And I've just never seen any sort of play. Although the only one that's seen any sort of play that's not just a Retaliation dial is the Superman robot.
Brimstone as well, 75 points.
Yeah, but I mean, it's 75 points, and it's basically because he has one click with the most ridiculous pulse wave going.
Yeah, and he's got the robot keyword.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of them so play because they have the robot keyword, really. That's why. And now you won't see them. But yeah, some of the Colossals you would hope that are going to be decent on not just a Retaliation click, and you wouldn't mind playing them. But we shall wait and see.
Yeah, so from there we'll go on to chatting about rotation. It's happened as of yesterday of the recording.
Yep.
So you have now lost the Justice League strategy battle game, if anyone has any of them. Flash, Trinity War, Age of Ultron, both the movie and the normal set, and Avengers Assembled. The only real things I feel like people are going to miss is the resources, just all of them, because down to next to nothing. It's half the ID cards and drones. Maybe KC Flash.
Yeah. And ATAs to make up those odd little number of points that you always seem to find to get.
ATA. Yeah.
That's a shame.
But apart from that, I think pretty much there wasn't a huge amount of stuff that disappeared. I think Nick Fury was the real power jump set, and just Nick really. I mean, it's not even the combination of the Age of Ultron set and Nick Fury. It was just crazy. But
I think we tend to be like people tend to focus on like new sets anyway. So if you see 20 tournaments and things, everybody, just like in Nationals, everybody played Jakeem because it was the new hotness. So you tend to find that if you look back at like Flash set, how many like figures from the Flash set were people playing, or even Trinity War, things like that. So yeah, you probably go back and you think, oh, I miss Atomica, and oh, it'd be nice to have that nice cheap Prob on, which is hard to take care of. But I don't think I'm going to miss anything mainly, because there's lots of new stuff coming out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm okay with it. I mean, I always miss old figures. I feel like there's always a handful of teams I just never got around to touching and all that. But yeah, there's nothing really huge.
You don't have to play Modern Age if you get the chance to play.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I'm going to play Daft games, I can just shot them together. Yeah, there's not a huge amount I'm going to miss. I'm sorely not looking forward to the Heroclix Jakeem style. We didn't. Did we mention it last time? The Canadian Nationals with 6 out of 8 top players being Jakeem players.
No, well, we should mention it now then in the news.
Oh, there we go.
So, yeah.
So we'll move on. I think there's not much to say about rotation that we're not going to break down and discuss this time, the time after, and the time after. So we'll just move on to the Nationals. The overall winner, bless him, did not have a Jakeem, because that's how, as far as we've seen, almost every national tournament has gone. It's been a simple case of everyone who is good turns up with Jakeem, everyone who is great turns up with a team that kills Jakeem.
I just went through all the Nationals, and none of the Nationals anywhere has been won by Jakeem, despite the fact that he appears multiple times in top 8s. So
I think I get it right when I put that. I think it really is a case of everyone who is good, like who is always a case of hitting the top 8, goes with.
Or anyone who can afford to buy a Jakeem.
Or anyone who can afford
has
it.
Been plenty. Yeah, but, although the price might be coming down quite a bit now. But
well, yeah, because there's a Goblin King out there who is. Well, I think when it gets close to the once we've had a couple of games, with I think the next time we're doing the news section, we may have to do a chat of one versus the other, because I think that.
Well, I think it mainly comes down to the new rules on Outwit.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to be
the downfall of Jakeem.
Yeah. Maybe people then decide I want to go for somebody who has protection from Outwit, against Outwit even. But yeah, I think at the moment, I think I would favour Jakeem a little bit. But yeah, we can talk about it later.
Yeah, I think we need to have a couple of games with them, and then we'll probably come back with a topic at one point.
I'm still not playing either of them in any sort of major competition. But yes.
I might be.
I'll have them just to test.
I don't want to, but Jakeem did just turn up yesterday with my trade, so I might have to give him a try.
Well, you can give him a try, certainly if you've traded for him. But I played him once in one WizKids Open, and I think that was it for me.
I'm starting to get to the. I think my initial statement about him when he first came out before the hype kicked up is right. I think once you've started put enough points into him to make him good, he's too expensive and doesn't do enough damage. I think his numbers, once you've got him with his entity and his relic to give him willpower, and in whether post or pre rotation, I think it's pretty much the same. I just don't think he does enough damage to justify his points, and you're looking at that kind of very.
Well, I think it depends on the format and what else is around, really, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think now that the two things that did well against him was Krang and the Quinjet, and both of them are gone. If you look at like national, so it just depends if something else turns up that gives him a hard time, or if people can build teams that he'll struggle against. Because he is very hard to kill. It is like ability to like just keep on ticking by choosing Steel Energy. You can knock him down so far because he's always got invincible, or he should. Then he can keep big and steal energy, heal him back up, and then he's really difficult to put down.
Yeah, that's basically what I found in the games I've played against him. But
there are teams that can like dish out more damage that he can take, and eventually will kill him. So, especially with Nick being still around, and I think the changes to Outwit will hurt him quite a bit.
Yeah, being able to outwit Invincible even before he's picked it.
Yeah, I'll just say, right, I don't want to. I've got Mystics. I don't want to use Pulse 5, so he will be taken down.
Yeah. There's a lot that's going to hurt him. Whether it sticks, I don't think it's going to be enough for a while. I think at the moment he is the only like real A tier piece for with what was released right now. I don't think there's a set team unless you've really built to counter him and you get lucky and play basically just him.
It'll also be interesting, I think, in the American Worlds, because that's happening this weekend, is it not? Or next weekend? As I was speaking, it's not this weekend, it's next weekend.
Yeah, but
I think. So they'll just have they'll have What If just come out. I think that's going to be legal for Origins. It's that. So it'll be interesting to see what teams they play. If somebody can come up with a team that beats Jakeem, or if Jakeem manages to.
It might just be Goblin King. It might be straight up Goblin King.
Yeah, it might just be Goblin King versus Jakeem. Yeah.
I think in the current rules, I would think I might well just give it to Goblin King, because I think he doesn't need as much to just be useful.
Yeah, but then he's more expensive anyway. So he's a cost of Jakeem plus a Possessor.
Plus everything. For me, it's those numbers. I mean,
well, he doesn't need willpower either because he's got the power cost.
Yeah, so and I think if you give him Eclipso, he gets a running shot for his first few clicks, which is going to save him. And he's got defensive powers built in, which is defensive powers you actually want more often than not. So he gets to pick, and the way he picks his powers is specifically and better. Like, it's not a case of free action.
Well,
here's your powers.
You say that it is a free action. Yeah, you free action, he keeps them. So, but if people are playing a lot of Faust, then there may be occasions where you can't actually change his powers because of the limitations that Faust is putting on him by doing actions.
But in the same vein, that kind of restriction would just kill Jakeem, really.
No, because it's not a free action. It's not any sort of action. So Jakeem can always pick powers at the beginning of the turn. It's a small thing, and probably in the greater scheme of things, Goblin Kings is better. But if you're playing a lot of Faust, then he may stop you ever picking. But you still keep the powers that you've picked previously, but then you can't pick new ones.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, they're very, very similar in what they do.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, I think I'd rather pay the extra few points, get a couple of powers more than I actually want, and have that option of being able to go, well, this turn, you have no chance of hitting me, so I'm going to pick like hypersonic speed and super strength. Next turn, I'm going to use that to come in.
You're not going to pick hypersonic speed and super strength in the future, though.
No, but I'm just about for Origins and have Goblin King fly up, kill whatever he's trying to kill, and then go, alright, free action, I'm going to change to have super senses and shape change, so I've got the 3 powers and you can't do anything about it. I think it'll be an interesting game for it, but we'll see who wins when it gets there. We've came massively off topic since we were going to mention the Canadian Nationals.
Yeah, we have.
We'll just have a big shout out to I think I'm the 2 people who didn't play Jakeem, because everyone knows what Jakeem does. So the winner played Shimmergarth, a tank.
Is it Adam Cole? Yeah.
And the Bizarro.
Yeah.
A few IDs, Pandora's Box, and the boxing ring. Case, from what I can say, it's a case of you're in Shimmergarth into the boxing ring, you just call in and shoot somebody, or you sit there and wait until you get running shot or charge, whichever one you've gone for. Probably charge, I imagine.
Going for charge.
And just charge across the map and one shot whoever you need. It's pretty.
Well, it's because the boxing ring, the way it works for the boxing ring, because it's got plasticity as well, he just sits at the front of the boxing ring, and then it's really difficult for the opponent to get into the ring, because if they don't get into the ring, they've got a -2 to hit him.
Yeah.
So then if you add that to what Bizarro Green Arrow is going to give you another -2, then you're going to struggle. Obviously, you can only get to -3, but if you've got some other bonuses, if you're trying to drop a tank as well, then good luck to try and hit anybody. And you'll have like Sloth. I think he was putting Sloth Relic on him as well, so that bumps his defense up. So I think he beat a lot of Jakeem teams really by just hitting them repeatedly until they failed their shape change rolls.
Yeah, I think what's the first click on? I think he will have been able to one-shot him, will he not have? If he gets like 1 turn, kill him if you got charged with it.
I don't think he gets 2 damage. 5 damage, is he? 4 damage.
He's got 5 damage, but obviously it's going to be halved.
He's not going to get +3, I don't think.
No, the only way he'd been able to do it is by if he'd rolled the perplex, so he'd have to be in combat with him already to make use of that.
Well, I think that Adam, the winner, was using a lot of like support. So rather than Schumer calling in anybody, he was making Bizarro Green Arrow call people in. But he got the tank as well, so he could actually take down. Oh, could he?
Not in one turn.
No, he's got invincible.
Yeah, because it's going to be 2, 2, and 2, or 2, 2, and 1 anyway. But yeah, if you got something in, I think if you got like perplex and then you called in a cheap character with a lot of range and attack,
or just another perplex, or empower, or something like that.
You can actually.
I think he was calling things like Hellcat, the new Hellcat. I think he had hit on his team, who, because that card was still not rotated, that gives you +2 to your close combat attack, and she's got empower as well. So if you get the perplexes at the same time as you call that in,
that's
14 attack, 8 damage with a flurry.
Okay, yeah, so that's probably what that was there for, and that's going to kill something. So yeah, that was cool. And the other cool one for me was just 3 shifting focus Doctor Stranges, and a man thing. Is that what it's called? Man thing. It's just a case of being really good at picking which strangers are out at the time and taking advantage of the man thing's 19 defense, I assume, on everybody, with them using the various defenders together stuff to just stop you from being able to really hurt them.
I think the one thing that does really hurt them is a tank, though. The problem with like having a team like that when you're keeping everybody together is, let's say if you come across Schumer would go whack, drop the tank on them, and then spread them apart. You wouldn't get the Doctor Strange's healing thing.
Because you're dead.
Because you're dead. Well, and also because you're not standing next to each other.
Yeah.
Because there's a tank will drop, and then you'll see after actions resolve, oh, we're not next to each other. So I think that just hurts. Any team that's just one carrier and carries around a bunch of other people, you have to be so careful that like that tank is not going to get dropped on you, because that'll be a bad day. And you sort of defend. I'm not keen on teams like that now.
But
yeah, it's a nice team. It's a good team apart from, having a weakness to the tank, I think unfortunately everybody's going to play.
Yeah, I think at the time I don't think the tank was as accessible. I think that was the kind of the point where everyone was picking up their tanks and didn't have the practice with them or the idea to use them, or wasn't aware of exactly how well it worked and what it did. But I think now, because I think it's won basically everything since its release, it's definitely going to start getting more play. They're going to make a killing off that set, aren't they?
Well, it's buying that, yeah. You just want the little, yeah. Yes, everybody's buying it.
Yep. I mean, I have one and used it, and we're going to have to continue to use it. I have 2. I think for most of my teams, I'm basically building a 280 point team and wondering who the best person to put Supreme Intelligence on. and who the best person to drop a tank is. That's basically every team I'm building at the moment. Depressingly.
Well, every team for me has like 7 points left over because I'm playing the round table, and there's always like an awkward number of points.
That's why I like those two. It's 20 points. Don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, because of 20 points.
Yep.
So I just have to pretend the tank is 15 points, and I'm alright.
It would still be worth it if it was 15 points. I can still see teams
Definitely.
using it.
Of course.
But there you go.
At 25 points, I'd probably play it.
Yeah.
But yes, it's stupid.
So let's leave it as that. Move on to.
Okay.
I'll give you the floor to another segment of Art of Clix.
Okay. Well, I was just wanting, before we go on, I'll briefly just explain to some people who maybe didn't hear the first episode. So the Art of Heroclix is basically just using the Art of War, which is an ancient Chinese military text from like the 5th century BC, just to try and apply some of those teachings that has been used for Western military and business tactics, etc., to apply them to Heroclix. So last time we talked about deception, and Sean was going to give a good example of how he'd actually used that, but since he's not here, I shall have to as well. So just like recapping, isn't just recapping, just to say that to illustrate how it actually does has potential. So deception was, well, Sean was playing in the Nationals. He was playing like the Rock of it. I think he'd explained that when we went through like last time. But it's basically looking at playing the Rock of Eternity on a different starting line than normal. So he caught a couple of people out. Instead of Krang having Flurry, he had Force Blast, which means he could one-shot Jakeem. So that was an example of deception. I know he said to me, they never asked. Everybody just assumed that he was having Flurry. And I think the problem with having Flurry is you always get Jakeem out of his last click and you never manage to kill him. But having the Pulse Wave and Force Blast instead actually meant that you could one-shot him. So his deception worked very well. So that is recap. It does work. So this time, and also quickly, Adam Cole, what we talked about before, who did the Canadian Nationals win. Mm-hmm. He was on like Married with Clix YouTube channel, and he did an interview where he talked about he used deception as well, but also in a way that he was if people didn't know him, he was deceiving people into thinking he wasn't very good, because he said, I had my little cuddly toy tiger with me, and I was using little animal tokens as action tokens, and then when he played in the battle royales to start with, he was just deliberately playing badly with people. The people didn't know him, so according to him anyway. So whether he got advantage from that, we will never know, but it was something that he tried out as well. Okay, back onto this week's topic. This week I was like having to read through and trying to pick something out, and I've picked out sort of a chapter on emptiness and fullness, which I will have to explain. So those are just terms that basically roughly translate as weakness and strength, and I'll just give you his quote and then we can go on and see how we can link this up with Heroclix. So the quote is, those who are first on the battlefield and await the opponents are at ease. Those who are last on the battlefield and head into battle get worn out. Therefore, good warriors cause others to come to them and do not go to others. So basically in that short few sentences, he's describing that it is easier to defend than attack, which is very true in warfare, and I think applicable to Heroclix as well. Now, what that doesn't mean that you let your opponent attack you, or that it's better to sit in your starting area waiting for your opponent to do something. But if you can set up a defensive position, whether it's using the terrain or using your powers to do so, and let your opponent approach you, that is going to give you an advantage. Because they're going to have to move. Say if they move up and don't attack, they're going to have action tokens on them. They're not going to be able to use the terrain to protect themselves quite so much. And and leave themselves open to you to attack them. So going back to what we talked about with the Canadian nationals, he'd set up that boxing ring. He was using that boxing ring as just a defensive. He moved Schumer up into the boxing ring, he used their plasticity to say you can't get in. He was getting a -2 to their attack. So he was setting themselves up into that position, waiting for the opponent to come to them. Even if they didn't, he knew that as soon as he had charge on his box, then he was getting a sidestep and then a charge, and then his Schumer's stupid long reach. So he was waiting, he could sit there and go, right, what are you going to do? So setting up that defensive position and then waiting for your opponent to do something is an advantage, and there's a few ways you can do that in Heroclix. And just stop me at any time, Dale, if you want to respond to that or discuss that, so it's not just me talking.
I feel like at the moment this is set up, and it's just this is the foundations that we then use to build and get tactics and talk about how this actually plays.
You know that like setting up a defensive position is useful, yes, because we did that with our Quinjets. So we're basically picking the map. We'd basically moved up into a position where we said, unless they had a big alpha strike, we knew we were safe, and whatever the opponent did, really, we were going to then follow up on them. But defensive doesn't just mean sort of terrain, things like that. It could also mean things like powers that people pick. And Jakeem is a good thing to look at, because Jakeem picks 2 standard powers. Often he starts off picking defensive powers, and if he's got like a Calypso on him as well, he might have 3 defensive powers. So you're then trying to look at, well, how the hell am I going to get through the 3 rollouts if he's got, Impervious, Super Senses, Shape Change, and high, like 20 defense from range. How are you going to hit him? So, I mean, what we did, which is spoiling what we were talking about, what I did in one game was I'll just run somebody up next to him and just go, hello, Mr. Jakeem, here's some points. So you just, he was then decided to pick things that weren't defensive powers. Anyway, I don't know if you've played any games, because your opponent is gonna probably think the same way as you. If you decide, depending on obviously the map and if they're able to, but in general, turn 1 is often you set yourself up in a defensive position, then your opponent sets themselves up in a defensive position. Occasionally, depending on forces and on map, that leads to a bit of a stalemate, where neither of you want to be the first person to stick their head around the corner. Because unless you have able to get to your opponent and attack them in that one turn, then just moving up is going to leave yourself exposed. Yes?
Yeah.
Obviously, depending on this is just in general. So Sun Tzu, who's the guy who wrote The Art of War, that I didn't mention, he does the next few sentences are just about that. So he's basically saying that what causes opponents to come of their own accord is a prospect of gain. What discourages opponents from coming is the prospect of harm. So this describes the potential of a stalemate occurring is your opponent, unless there's an advantage for them to come forward, they are not going to bother doing it. If you think, by coming forward, I'm going to leave myself exposed, I'm not going to come forward. And it hasn't really happened to me before, but I've seen other people play Heroclix where both people have sat in their defensive positions and just saying, I'm not coming forward, and the other person says, I'm not going forward. So that goes on for a few minutes, then one person has to say, well, okay, I will then if you don't, but then they're at an immediate disadvantage by doing so.
Yeah, I feel...
Has that happened to you?
Oh, definitely. But I think one game at the Nationals epitomised this for me. They were playing Jakeem, Mixplix, and an Atom and a Frogman to kick it off. We'd set up, I'd move as far forward as I could do, which is essentially that third of the map forward where I'm up against the wall on the outside of the big office in the centre. and essentially he was faster than me. He had the option for a quick attack and go in, and it was basically it was his choice as to how far he wanted to go in to pick who he wanted to kill. So I put forward my Ant-Man, who was key to my team, except for on this map where I couldn't take advantage as much for size changes. Basically made little to no difference just for line of sight to get all of my support powers in place. That was essentially it. So put him there, and he took the bait. He picked up sonic speed, flew forward to where he thought was he gets to have his cake and eat it, gets his advantage, takes a character, he's up on points. All of a sudden I'm on back foot and have to come to him, but didn't spot that I can get him regardless, so he had to come at me because that was his advantage. But because he'd done that, he then tokened himself up, brought himself within range, so that I could, instead of having to perplex range on my calling character, I could just go for damage and essentially one-shot the Jakeem the turn after. Just giving him that little carrot on a stick that he thinks he's getting an advantage for killing my Ant-Man. If he does, luckily he didn't. I think he needed to roll like a 8 twice to hit me, so it was unlikely to happen anyway. But he went for it, had a go. Thought, if I get it, I'm up on points, I'm going to win the game if I get that, and didn't spot that actually he was going to lose it by doing that.
Yeah, well, you've perfectly illustrated a good example of how to do that then, because when we're talking about gain in Heroclix, we say the prospect of gain, mainly that's your gain is by points, so your opponent is not going to come out unless they think they're going to get points somehow. So dangling a big carrot, like a 50-point figure in front of them, that they think, oh, I just need to hit him because he hasn't got any damage reduction, one shot till he's dead, and that's 50 points up. You don't want to place your whole team at risk, but if you have a figure on your team that you think I can use as bait, but even if you think, it's depending on what figures you've got, if it's not going to actually do anything, sometimes bait, they don't take the bait, or sometimes they do take the bait. Like the example that I said before, when I just threw playing against Jakeem and he had all his defense powers picked, and I knew from practice that I would like him to not pick shape change, or at least not pick invincible and shape change together, because I wanted to shoot him with Nick Fury and drop a tank on his head to kill him. So I just made Nightwing Giant, who then carried a thug right up into his face and just stood there. And I wasn't bothered about if he killed him, I didn't care. And he could have probably the smart thing to do was just to try and ignore them. But because it was sat there next to him, it was like, well, even then I've got 50-50 chance of not being able to break away. If I'm trying to break away, I might have to pick plasticity or something like that to make sure of it. Or I don't want to use, waste my prob on the breakaway roll. So he decided just to pick Flurry and just kill both of them. But then next turn he was dead. Because it was just a bait. But I wasn't losing anything. I was losing the points, but I knew that if he took the bait, then he's dead. So those two are, good examples of that. But I mean, sometimes you might not actually plan to have a figure as bait. And I was just having a quick look through and just come up with some ideas about how you can actually build in sort of a baity figure into a team, because not everybody, especially with the Quinjet was really good because you could just pop these guys out. They were only 5 points and I wasn't fussed. I don't want to give away a quarter of my team or something like that as bait. So I'm just having a quick look through because what immediately springs to mind is bystanders.
Yeah.
Because I used to use the ants when I was playing Hank Pym and things like that. Bystanders are just really good just to get people out, especially if they've got somebody without a damage reduction, because they could just poison them, and eventually I'm going to get some points that way by just pouring some ants down their face. But there's things like Penguin and things like that's really good, with Pulse Wave. Anybody that's just expendable. But I was having a quick look through, and there's some really good sort of mobile cheap figures nowadays that you can get, even if you haven't got bystanders on your team, but putting one of these figures on the team just as an option to just try and to bait people with things like anybody with leap climb to start with. So there's things like Chipmunk Hunk, who can do like a quake after a leap climb. There's Frogman, who can be really annoying after he's like moved in. Even people like Jessica Jones with like a 15-point piece. The rare one from the Avengers Defenders War, who's got like toughness. He's really hard to kill. She's going to be a wild card, so you can pick some like Mystics or Batman ally or something like that to try and make her more awkward to try and deal with. Something like Batroc, who does a free attack after he's moved. He's got a token on him or something like that. You know, the Outsider's Nightwing, who's really fast again, who's a wild card. So these people can distract your opponent. Some of them can do like attacks or knockback and things like that. So if people have got like squishy figures, you can put them out there, and you're getting sort of it's a win-win sort of situation, because if they don't go for the bait, then they can do something afterwards. Even if it's just, I'm just going to run, because if they've got leap climb or something like that, well, I'm just going to run into the middle of you, and then the rest of my force is going to move up now, because now you've got a distraction sat next to you, and at the very least they're going to have to try and break away from it. They're going to have to spend actions to try and kill it.
Yep.
So other things as well as that, you've got other like cheap like things like Colossal Retaliators. That type of figure combined with the Colossal Retaliator, like say 15-point Atom, even if it's 15-point Atom combined with Jessica Jones, who's 15 points, you just run Jessica Jones in the middle of somebody, you wildcard Mystics, and you sit there with Atom waiting for the inevitable someone's going to punch her.
Yep.
But there's also little things. I was having a look at like what else you can make figures like that even more annoying. No, like with a symbiote special object, it's one of the best modern age objects, given like plasticity and shape change. Again, it's only 6 points, gives automatic breakaway as well if you need it. Stick that on an annoying figure, then as well as like the plasticity, it means they're going to have to punch them, unless you want to waste an outwit or something like that, or Nick Fury or something to say you can't use their plasticity to try and punch them. They've got shape change to roll out. You've got a Colossal Retaliator coming up. So that was my ideas anyway. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that, or any other suggestions you might have for how to build in sort of a figure that you can use as bait.
It's for me, it's not just that. There's another way of getting people to come towards you, which I used again. It is by having an attack that outranges them. If you can set something up in that, you can place yourself in a position where you have if they don't act very aggressively, you're going to get the first shot on them, and you kind of put pressure on them that way. For me, it was always Nick Fury. Calling Nick Fury my nationals team, I had full range of the map, can't do anything about it, and their only option was to run kind of diagonally across the map to get past the centre of Mount Olympus map to be able to see me, and there's very few characters that could do that and make an effective attack about it. And that was it. They were basically at a stalemate. They had the option of either standing there, putting the relic tokens on, whatever they were going to do, and die anyway, or come at me, whether it was Jakeem picking hypersonic speed and just going health leather in, or using all the plexus on movement to do a big running shot, and then something whatever like that. I was forcing them where the only option they had was to do nothing and take a first hit, or do something very aggressive at a disadvantage, which has a small chance of success, and even if it does, the end result will likely still be the same. That was the only other thing for it.
I think that came down to how we managed the map, though. So we was putting ourselves in a defensive position, but we made it impossible for them to put themselves in a defensive position.
Yeah.
Because there was nowhere on the map that could put themselves because of Ant-Man being able to make people giant.
Yeah, and that all was...
If you're on a different map, you might not be able to do that because they might have been able to put themselves in a position where you can't get to them. Obviously, you had Green Arrow as well.
Which was pretty much...
There's still, those type of figures aren't around anymore. Or in general terms, if you're playing a more casual game of Heroclix and you don't have the likes of Nick Fury having 12 range and giant and things like that. So these little tactics, you might have to think of another way of trying to do it.
Definitely. Anyway,
that is basically... I don't want to go into too much detail about it or spend too long waffling on, but just have a think about that sort of thing. Trying to think about if you've got... There's lots of cheap figures nowadays, and I do think that even in competitive play, the don't die teams aren't around anymore. So don't be scared about playing lots of some nice little cheap things. I think Jessica Jones is absolutely fabulous for 15 points. Even considering Chipmunk Hunk on my animal teams, I'm not certain. I don't think I want to play him, but
definitely want to play him.
He's just so. If you can get a encouraging people to play lots of cheap figures that don't have damage reduction, and then he comes in and then annoys the heck out of you. And then if you don't hit him hard enough, he lands on Perplex as well.
He's just brilliant. I mean, for 20 points, I'm going to do a huge move, Quake. Even if all you're doing is quaking their support pieces out of the way, you can get 2, 3, 4 damage.
Even if you don't damage them, Quake still move 2 squares. And if you hit him against a wall, something like that, then it's annoying as heck. And as I say, if you do have a retaliator set up, just having I'm just going to throw him forward, and he's going to, even if he doesn't do very much, you're probably going to want to punch him or damage him some way. So then, I've got Adam coming in after you. So yeah, I do think having obviously bystanders, even if you're just playing it, having a bystander producer, something like Penguin's only 40 points, and he's got 18 defend, and those Penguins can get really nasty.
Yeah.
So having something like that where you're avoiding the stalemate, because there's nothing worse than having a situation where neither of you want to come forward. So being able to break that and make them come to you in whatever way you can think of, it's just a really useful thing. Especially if people are playing. There's a lot of indoor blocking terrain maps and things like that nowadays. So, and there's not as many teams that like to sit in the back row, but there will be more players really rather than teams who just prefer to try and play defensively. So having some way of breaking that is important. Anyway, that is it for that, unless you have anything more to add.
No, sounds good to me.
I'll try and do just a little bit of a write-up and put it on the website as well, just to give some more ideas. So what we're going on to next? We're going to talk about our teams that we play.
Well, it was originally my team challenge. I put forward that I wanted a team that included anyone with the shifting focus trait or the something of similar effect, and that was essentially it. We turned it into a little bit of a post-rotation version to try and the team I've definitely went with was something we've tried to concoct out of a necessity to beat Jakeem at competitive play post-rotation. Haven't tested it yet to see how far it goes, but I've went with Iceman, with Brainiac attached and the Supreme Intelligence, the Shifting Focus Deadpool, and Pixie. The team revolves around using Pixie to carry people up, try and clear return. The next one, move Pixie forward to base Jakeem, have Iceman sidestep over, trigger this trait, so I get to punch Jakeem and take it from there. Try and freeze him, stop him from doing his ability, from his things. Maybe drop a tank on his head if I can get if there's a good point to do it with free actions. Keep doing that along with my normal attacks. Deadpool's just there because with the 5 different versions you have a huge amount of variety in what you can do. One of them, specifically the trenchcoat one, is going to give a reroll and a perplex to Iceman, who again can get perplex from Pixie, who's going to be given minuses to attack on them and defense on them with a trait. And I think it's an okay team, but it really depends on hitting that free attack. I'm not convinced Iceman's defensive enough, so we shall see. I'm going to give it a try.
Yeah, it's all or nothing really, isn't it? If you miss that attack, you're in big trouble.
Very much so. I mean, we're going to have obviously theme team we rose to fall back on later on, but we've got, what is it, 12? I think it's 12 attack with the perplex. They're going to have -1 defense.
And you've got two perplexes, I think, because you've got the
does Pixie have perplex as well? Sorry, this is,
I thought she does, doesn't she?
I don't think she does on first click, so if you push to get to that,
Is she not?
it is on first click.
Well, you probably will be pushing on that one.
I like it, it's on first click, so
yeah, you are.
So yeah,
So you've got 2 flexes, you've got Deadpool's prob, and then you've got no theme probs because
you can't use them at that
Pixie will have moved unless you actually have 2 tokens on it anyway.
But that gives you that's going to be handy for a defensive option, because you can really play defensively and just go, well, if I'm going to keep pouring it on to my attack, I can just keep sidestepping over, punching the threat, freezing it solid, and if I miss it and you attack me, I don't mind so much taking the token, because I'm just going to sidestep over you anyway and keep doing
the initial sort of alpha you might not want to do, because it is risky, especially if they're just playing a 10 pool, which a lot of people will be. Then getting that hit off is probably nearly win the game really, if you can lock them down.
Yeah.
But if they're playing like a few different figures, then it's like you'll have to play a bit more.
For me,
you have to maybe try and pick 1 or 2 of them off before you come in.
For me, it might be okay. I feel like maybe picking off someone first will be incredibly useful if I can manage it. But I don't think I'm going to be every time. But I'm going to have effectively 14 attack on Iceman for it, and if I can get them in most times, I'll be able to do it where they can't even see Iceman to try and re-roll him, because I can put them on diagonals, and I'll move first, then attack. So it might be handy. I might be able to get that to work. It'd be really good if I can.
I think especially with Jakeem not having combat reflexes, if we're looking at how you're trying to hit Jakeem, because he'll only have an 18 or 19 if he's got a perplex, something like that. If he's ever picked I don't think he'll ever pick combat reflexes, because that's his 1 defense power, because I think you'll always want to pick invincible.
Yeah, and if he picks invincible,
it's just, if he hits his shape change or something like that, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's when I'm not even able to attack the person. It's one of those things. I've just got to do that. But worst case, I mean, Deadpool's still going to be able to be useful as well. I mean, I can always just switch to the psychotic one, the one that goes tiny half through his dial. I mean, he's got 11 attack, 3 damage first click. He's perfectly fine. The blades one's great. They all have their uses. I mean, I've got the X-Men team ability to heal up as well. I can use Deadpool to heal. I can use the Prime Deadpool to heal up Iceman, who then, if he takes damage, gets to heal D3, so he's actually on a 3 or 4 healing 1, 5 or 6 healing 2. It's far from perfect, but it is my best shot at the moment.
No, it is quite scary. I mean, especially if
actually, I think I have a better shot. I think I prefer my Dreadpool version, but we'll see.
Yeah. See, okay. I mean, anything that can come up, get carried up, and then has that free attack, and then drop a tank on your head, it's going to be strong. I mean, Iceman, especially because then he freezes you and you can't do anything.
Yep.
So if you can get a 10 pool, it's just getting that initial attack off. And obviously theme to try and protect yourself when you move up.
Yeah, theme's going to help with that. I mean, I've got my +3.
Definitely. Okay, I shall go on to talk about my team. I actually did play this. It's not quite as competitive, but still pretty good. I played the Shift and Focus Batman, as I think I promised. I've never played him before. This is on a Gotham City team. I played two Bat Knights because I had one and then I traded Sean for the other one. So I thought, well, I'm not going to play two Bat Knights very often, so I squeezed them in. And then I played Commissioner Gordon, 30 points from the Joker's Wild set, who's going to be one of my favourite figures when the new leadership rules kick in. Then we had a Penguin at 40 points, that's super rare, from the Joker's Wild, and then Ace the Bat Hound at 50. So I did really like the Shift and Focus Batman. I thought it was really interesting, especially having like a good theme bonus means I'm going to pick map, especially the one that like shifts between hindering terrain, 6 squares. What I probably should have done if I wanted to be a bit more competitive would at least just try and fit in one ID card or something like that, because just that moving up and just going, oh, I've moved up 6 squares and I'm going to drop an ID figure, like something like Peggy or Triathlon or something like that, because he wasn't. Because one of the little annoying things is none of those Batman ignore hindering for movement.
Yeah.
So being able to teleport from one hindering to another was okay, but then if I wanted to change into the guy who had charge, it was very limiting the range that he had. But just being able to pop about and then change into the outwit guy, and then eventually I think I've used him to go, oh well, I'm close enough now, I'll change into the charge one, and I've got a Bat Knight sat nearby who's got like Empower. Or I think I changed into the running shot energy explosion one. So I popped out, changed into him, and I think it was against Sean I was playing, and he had like an Avengers guys all sitting next to each other, and I just had Commissioner Gordon stood next to him to drop all the defenses down by -2, and then I just energy exploded everybody, which was nice. Penguin is super good. I think the Psychic Blast ones are my favourite, I must say. I mean, I think I lost one game playing this because I picked the wrong Penguins. I went for the Pulse Waver ones. I should have gone for the Psychic Blast ones. But I'm quite happy I'll sit Penguin back and push him. That's what I was basically doing. Just turn 1, get the +1 Penguin out. Turn 2, get the other Penguin out. Move them up. Turn 3, I would have to clear. But in the New World Order, I might be able to take a token off with the Commissioner Gordon. Then Penguin would then take another power action to move both the Penguins, and then they would get 2 attacks. And so I could sit back with the Bat Knights who were then just taking pot shots at and staying in stealth, just sidestepping, carrying everybody around, just taking pot shots while I sent the Penguins up. And then Commissioner Gordon was there for when the Penguins were doing the Psychic Blasts. And Ace of Bat Hound was hanging about, picking Perplex and Prob, really. And then coming in to finish people off by just going, I'll pick Exploit or something like that and charge up and get them. So yes, it was a very good team. If I played it again, I might drop one of the Bat Knights. Put in... to try out that Ha Joker, because he has Gotham City as well. And squeeze in maybe an ID card for the Batman. Although I think with the new rules, I know we're thinking about testing teams with the new rules, I don't think he's going to be able to do that trick anymore because of the timing of the beginning of the turn, because it's like a free action for him to do that. So that will be a little bit sad, but the outwit guy will get a lot better. Because the outwit's improving. So 6 and 2 3s really. I do want to try out that Gotham City team, because you can fit in World's Finest as well, which is also got Gotham City. So there is. So I think in our play testing I will bring along a Gotham City team, maybe with a round table or something.
Yeah.
And see how we go with that.
Yeah,
that's it.
So from there, then we're on to the.
Oh, wait a minute. For next time, whose turn is it to pick? Was it mine, Sean?
It was.
Can we remember?
I think it might have been Sean's. But.
Oh well, we'll double check because I can't remember now.
Yeah.
What did we do last time? Because like 2 episodes ago, we had teams.
I literally can't remember.
I can't remember.
Was it
either.
Helco?
We'll have to double check with Sean. Who's was that the time before? Don't know. I should really check the.
Just really keep track.
Look on our website. Anyway, yes, Sean's the person who keeps track of this, and he's not here.
Yeah, we all fall apart without him. He does all the work in the background.
Yeah.
We just sit here and talk.
No, it was Fenris that we were making teams about last time.
It's your
I
turn.
double checked. Was that Sean's picking Fenris? No, I picked Hellcow. He must have picked Fenris. Then you picked Shit and Focus.
I did.
Okay. Have I got to think of something now, do you think?
Yeah, go for it. Why not? On the spot.
Something from Avengers Defenders War?
So
maybe?
just anything from Avengers Defenders War.
No, I'm just trying to have a look. I'm going to have a quick look after think of something. Or should we pick What If?
What about one of the chasers?
No, I think what we'll do, that figure that came out today...
Peace Machine.
Yes, I do think that's got some. So I think we'll pick that.
Okay.
And come up with your best way of only taking 3 damage.
Yeah, we've discussed this. We have a feeling this may bring about a new type of team for whether it's going to be competitive or not, we don't know, but we think it's got a place.
Well, because it's cheap, that's the thing. Is it only any figures that do something weird, and then they're cheap, so they can actually... they don't take up a huge amount of your build. Yeah, he does something, even if he's not getting much value from that trait, then he's still got...
Outwit. He's a good taxi.
He's still got outwit, and he's still got TK, which is... TK is quite hard to find nowadays, like on cheap figures, so... He's still pretty good, even if you don't... So if you can build the trait into, I'm going to keep some of me other 50-point buddies alive that bit longer. Yeah, so okay, next time build around him.
Yeah, let's do Peace Machine. From here it is our last segment, and we're going to talk about the rules. Fire away.
Okay, this will be very quick. There wasn't a huge amount of rules that was very exciting.
Really?
I think the only couple of things, unless you have some things to say, I'm going to say bystanders, because there was just a ruling on Henry, the little cyber monkey for Fitz has. He's basically... because originally I think they ruled that he wasn't a bystander, and now they've ruled that anything with a combat dial is a bystander. So by that it means it does not break theme, and there's probably a few other things that it does, like say you can't equip it, but it was tiny anyway, so you're going to be equipped, and it can't like pilot, which again it was tiny, so it couldn't have done that anyway. The main thing is it does not break theme, so you can play Henry at 15 points on any team, and it won't break theme. And
was that the main thing?
It's obviously had a knock on. That was not the main thing. The main thing was you can play the tank on every team, and it does not break theme.
So prepare to see it on every single team.
Every single competitive team, as long as they have 8 points spare, and if you don't have 8 points spare, you make 8 points spare, and you play the tank.
Pretty much.
And obviously I think Henry's got some place as well.
So do I.
If you don't want to break theme, I mean you might want to play something else if you did, but you know, he's a good cheap way of like bumping up your damage.
And I've got 2 of him, so I think I do have a stance that he's definitely worth playing.
He's a very good way of moving the tank around as well. If you like think, I need to get the tank in position, and just Henry goes, I'll do it. I'll phase up and the tank will follow.
Yeah.
Right, so that was one of the big changes. Another change they did was around maps. are legal maps for Modern Age, because originally they'd said that there were a few maps. I'm just trying to find the ones that are affected now. Is it under rules?
So there is Jean Grey's
map set. Because previously they'd ruled that it was both sides of the map. So it was Danny the Street that said, and Jean Grey's School, which is like the outdoor one with like Krakoa 2.0.
Speakeasy.
That said, the Speakeasy map from the Deadpool and X-Force set. So they basically said that those maps, including the back of the maps, this was like the previous ruling, were not legal for Modern Age, like official WizKids tournament play. But now they changed it, so only the problem side is the one that is not legal. So you get the United Nations Conference, which is quite a good map, I think, especially if it's one of these maps you want to sit in the back row. And that is now legal. And the other one is the Morlock Tunnels another indoor map with lots of blocking. So that's like an alternative to WizKids Office, and some teams might prefer that. So that is another map that's very good and legal. Deadpool the cargo plane, I quite like that. I've been having a look at that for some teams. Sort of it sort of condenses the play in a similar way that like the Manhattan Bridge map does, where it tends to everybody sits in the middle. So because of I don't know if you've seen that map.
I haven't actually. I got it as part of my prize kit, but I haven't even unfolded it yet because I thought the Speakeasy is banned. So
yeah, I didn't even look at that, but I was having a look at the cargo plane thing, because you've got the bits on the outside are outdoors, and then there's a bit in the middle, again like the Manhattan Bridge, where you've got like, and everybody will probably tend to congregate in the middle because that's where all the cover is. And if you're on like it's like the wings of the plane, the outdoor bits, so they've got nothing there cover at all. So I think if you want a team, like, you know, like the thing that I was in, like a bystander team or something like that, you might say, well, that like limits the size of the map really, because I'm going to try and block off these couple of like spaces here. No one will really want to go around the outside because there's no cover. So I think that's quite an interesting map. So that one's going to be legal, the cargo plane, and also for the Avengers Defenders War, which I haven't seen because we didn't do a release day kit. For the Avengers Defenders, there's a Dark Dimension, which is not legal, but on the other side, the Wakanda map is going to be legal.
And is mental.
It's mental because you get your lots of hindering, and it's +2 to your defense instead of +1.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to see a lot of players that.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's the long and short of it. It's if you have lots of stealth, or if you have.
Well, I'm not sure if it's that good for stealth really, because if you're either not getting shot anyway, because people can't see you, or people will ignore hindering, and then you won't get the +2 anyway. I think it's good for people who are like got a lot of improved movement, but not stealth, and you're trying to then rely on, I'm
maybe got lots of combat
hopefully prevent the movement here. Stuff that like's got decent like defense, bumping your defense up. So it could, a lot of defense. There's not that many people who ignore hindering for lines of fire nowadays. It's going to be, you're relying on maybe 1 or 2 ID cards to come in to use that. Even something like Jakeem or Goblin King, I don't think can.
No.
If you look through like recent sets, they're very few and far between the people with improved targeting.
Deadpool does it. There is one Deadpool that does it. The Fingers Bang Bang one. He ignores hindering. I'm trying to have a quick look for improved.
There's not a lot.
There really isn't.
I think because it did like something like Nick Fury was about everybody did, but for the Avengers Defenders War, I can't. There probably was 1 or 2, but I can't think of anybody at the top of my head who did it. And I think in What's If, I think I've only seen one figure that does it.
So there's a few, but I mean there's not absolutely loads of them. going through the modern ones that are potentially useful. Like, actually might get some decent play kind of characters.
But anyway, that means that like the Wakanda map is going to be pretty useful if you for defensive teams, but mobile teams as well. Possibly, I don't know. I haven't actually played on it yet.
Yeah, I've had a quick glance through. Basically, the only competitive, like currently seen as competitive pieces that do it are the Nick Furies, Wooden Soldiers, and that's pretty much it. That's it. There is a few other bits that do it that have like potential of seeing more play. Things like Mephisto. Here you can see through it Rat King from the second Turtle set. Pool Captain, sorry, Unipool, you might have a chance, but there's not really a huge amount. Oh, White Lantern Jade, that would be cute if she turned up, but she won't. But yeah, not an awful lot that sees through stealth, or hindering specifically. It's just that and a few Supermen, but even then, there's not that many good Supermen out there now at the moment.
Yeah, so I mean, there's not like a lot of cover on that map, so you've got to be pretty confident that
that's what you've gone up against.
Yeah. But anyway, it's another good option. Right, so there was a few other rulings, and I don't think any of them are very exciting, unless you disagree with that.
No, when you were saying there's not many rulings that's changed, like, well, you're right, there's only a handful of them, but the ones that have changed are like huge changes as opposed to like, oh, this one character has been ruled slightly differently. I mean, they're like
there's nothing really that much. I've had a quick look. There
is one that is probably relevant to mention, although no one probably cares. Rachel Cole, whatever her face. The Punisher girl. Chase, they've ruled and said that she can pick 2 powers and she will get the first one even if there is no one adjacent to pick up that second one. That's I don't know, I never thought that was a question, but apparently it was. There you go, now you know.
Yeah, but obviously you can go and have a look on the WizKids forum as well. I'm just trying to pick out like important stuff in case people miss them. But yeah, that is it for the rules.
And that's pretty much it for the podcast then. So that's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Bye.